Ang Lee crafted the most historically accurate Western ever filmed, and America rewarded him by tanking it at the box office. John Huston called one of these hidden gems among the 3 greatest Westerns ever, but you've probably never even heard its name. Here are 10 hidden Western gem studios sabotaged, botched, or flat out forgot existed. In 1870, a gang robs a train and snatches a ceremonial Japanese sword meant for the US president, kicking off a manhunt nobody saw coming. Red Sun is worth the ticket price just for the cast alone. Charles Bronson, Japan's legendary Toshiro Mifune, and Alain Delon, all thrown together in one wild ride. Oddly enough, it's not a Sergio Leone film. Terrence Young, the guy behind early Bond hits like Dr. No and From Russia with Love, called the shots here. Bronson and Mifune tear up the screen together, while Delon turns in a cold-blooded villain performance that's worth every minute. The casting's spectacular, no two ways about it, but the movie's biggest flaw, and probably why it's not mentioned alongside the real giants today, is the story. It plods. Young tries to mimic Leone's touch without fully owning it, and it drags the film down. Still, when John Huston puts Red Sun alongside Red River and Stagecoach as one of the 3 best Westerns ever made, you sit up and listen. That's one hell of an endorsement. A Texas Ranger and a drug kingpin, old childhood friends, now shooting at each other. Extreme Prejudice stars Nick Nolte as Ranger Jack Bentine, and it's based on real-life Texas Ranger Joaquin Jackson. Nolte didn't fake it either. He spent 3 weeks living and riding with Jackson to nail the part, dropping more than 50 pounds for good measure. Directed by Walter Hill, this one rounds up a dream cast. Powers Booth, Michael Ironside, Clancy Brown, and throws them into a dust-blown moral bloodbath. Walter Hill had worked under Sam Peckinpah during the Getaway days, and you can feel the DNA here. As Nolte said himself, it was a chance to walk in the boots of those old 40s Western heroes. Stand tall, keep your word, and never flinch. There's a lot of Red River's grit in it, a damn fine Western that got buried when it should have been celebrated. The Grey Fox digs up the true story of Bill Miner, the stagecoach robber who walked out of prison in 1901 straight into a brand new century. After seeing The Great Train Robbery, one of the world's first films, Miner gets inspired and switches from robbing stagecoaches to robbing trains. Richard Farnsworth plays him, and he's so good you almost forget you're watching a movie. Farnsworth had that kind of easy, natural presence you can't teach. Along the way, Farnsworth's character falls for a tough, sharp-eyed photographer played by Jackie Burroughs, and together they anchor the story with performances that hit dead center. Director Philip Borzos made his theatrical debut here, under the mentorship of Francis Ford Coppola, and he knocked it out of the park. A true spaghetti Western classic that somehow escaped mainstream attention. You get a kid who watches his whole family get wiped out by outlaws. 15 years later, he's a full-blown gunfighter out for blood. John Philip Law plays the kid all grown up, and Lee Van Cleef plays an ex-bandit who got screwed over and tossed in jail for that same crime. Naturally, their partnership isn't smooth sailing. There's tension, vengeance, and a rivalry you can almost taste. Critics say it's less gimmicky than most Italian Westerns, which is exactly why it works so well. Van Cleef, as always, is in exceptional form here, making it a hidden gem that deserves a much wider audience. Nobody talks about the Jack Bull, and it's a shame. John Cusack plays a horse trader in Wyoming who gets royally screwed by a local rancher. When the law won't help, Cusack's character decides he's going to handle it himself. It's an HBO movie, so it's meaner and smarter than half the westerns that hit theaters back in the 90s. You've got John McGinley, John Goodman, L.Q. Jones, all giving great performances. Cusack's dad even wrote the script. It's not some pretty cowboy story either. Think of the Jack Bull as a leaner, meaner sibling of Eastwood's Unforgiven. You probably won't love the ending, but you'll admit it's one hell of a western. Ride with the Devil bombed so hard it's almost funny. $35 million budget, didn't even crack $1 million back. But here's the thing, it's one of the most historically accurate Civil War westerns Hollywood ever made. Directed by Ang Lee, based on a Daniel Woodrell novel, it's about bushwhackers fighting Union troops out in Missouri. Real dirty, personal, neighbor against neighbor kind of war. The way Lee built this world is insane. The guns are real. 1851 navies, 1858 Remingtons, 1860 armies. The gear, the frock coats, the worn-out hats, even the Bowie knives stuck in belts. And the young actors actually look like the real 16 to 20-year-old killers you see in Civil War photos. This is a Sergio Leone Western that never got the attention it deserved. A scummy bandit teams up with an IRA explosives expert, and somehow they stumble into becoming accidental heroes of the Mexican Revolution. Rod Steiger, James Coburn, Romulo Valli, top-tier actors, and Leone behind the camera. That already sets the bar high. Add in Ennio Morricone composing the score and Giuseppe Ruzzolini working the cinematography, and you get a crew operating at the highest possible level. Originally, the film wasn't supposed to be directed by Leone. It was lined up for his assistant, Giancarlo Santi. But Rod Steiger and James Coburn put their foot down and demanded that Leone himself take the reins. So Santi got pushed aside. Clint Eastwood was even approached to play John Mallory, but he turned it down. He felt it was just a variation on characters he'd already done in the Dollars trilogy, and truth be told, he was tired of the Italian film industry. Instead, he signed up for Hang 'em High in 1968. Sam Raimi's movie looked like a throwback to the old-school westerns, but it came packed with Raimi's trademark style. Brutal violence, wild camera work, and a nasty sense of humor ran through the entire thing. The setup is simple, a quick-draw contest where the best gunslinger wins. Raimi stacked the cast with names that knew how to light up a screen. Sharon Stone carried the whole film with a performance that broke the mold for women in the genre. Gene Hackman delivered as the villain, and a young Leonardo DiCaprio brought his early star power to the table. There were 11 gunfights in the film, and Raimi made sure each one looked different. That wasn't easy, especially when 12 other westerns were filming the same year, and the costume department was running short on authentic gear. All the guns used were historically accurate to 1878, and some models you almost never see in westerns. John Sayles wrote and directed Lone Star, and it might just be his masterpiece. Chris Cooper leads a strong cast in a story about a sheriff uncovering a murder and a lot of dirty secrets buried under a dusty Texas border town. When the skeleton of his long-missing predecessor turns up, Sheriff Sam Deeds finds himself peeling back layers of corruption and history the town would rather keep buried. Chris Christopherson, Matthew McConaughey, and Frances McDormand round out the cast. Lone Star only pulled in about $13 million at the box office against an $8 million budget. It deserved a lot more. Roger Ebert put it at number 4 on his Best Films of 1996 list, and Time magazine did the same in their end-of-year issue. Based on Edward Abbey's novel The Brave Cowboy, Lonely Are the Brave came out swinging in 1962. David Miller directed it, Dalton Trumbo wrote the script, and the names involved behind the scenes were just as heavy as the cast. Kirk Douglas plays Jack Burns, a cowboy out of step with the modern world. Gina Rowlands and Walter Matthau deliver strong support, but the film also marks one of the first major scores of Jerry Goldsmith's career. When it hit theaters, Lonely Are the Brave didn't make much of a splash. It was a box office disappointment. Douglas got a BAFTA nomination for Best Foreign Actor, but the movie disappeared fast. Douglas himself blamed the studio for screwing it up. But despite everything, Lonely Are the Brave stuck around among real Western fans. It even got a nomination from the American Film Institute's list of greatest Westerns.